you talking about leaving a place in somewhat disarray made me think a couple buddies of mine, probably starting about 6 years ago up until about 3 years ago. They lived together for like 3 years. My age, they were roommates, and they had the filthiest fucking disgust. Like, have you ever seen those apartments where everyone's walked in so many times through the same paths without taking their shoes on that like the carpet becomes almost a weird composite of dirt and mush? Like, it was that all around their entire apartment. Like, it got to the point by the end where like they would joke, like they'd be like, anyone want to come over? We'll like go to a bar and then we'll watch the game. And I'm like, I'm not coming to your place. It's gross. Come to my house. It's clean. Like,
smells like candles.
And they had an outdoor porch, just a small wooden porch. They're on the second floor, and on the porch there was a door for a closet for like if you wanted a grill or something, or to keep your charcoal out there, just whatever, you put it in the outdoor closet. And apparently they were getting a little lit day drinking one day, both of them. I wasn't there, and another buddy of mine who is, he was the Marine, very, very prepared for things. And they were all getting drunk and everything. And my buddy was grilling out there. And apparently he was too drunk to see if the coals actually went out after he removed the coals. And so he took the coals out, put them back in the coal bag, put it in the closet, and then closed the door, the outdoor closet. And the way my buddy... My buddy, shout out Tim, he was like, and we were just sitting in there, and he's like, and he wasn't nearly as, he's like, I wasn't nearly as fucked up. I'd had like one beer or something, and they were all just blackout almost. And I just started smelling smoke in there. What the hell? Like, what's going on? And so I walked around their whole apartment trying to see what it was. I look out their window, black smoke all over their porch. And I'm like, fuck, so what'd you do? And he's like, I immediately went, there's a fire. And he was like, and I realized, like, in that state, none of our friends knew what to do at all. And so I went out there, opened up the door. They followed me out, and I went, he says, he's about 5'9". He says the flames were taller than me. He said the entire closet was aflame, to where like when he put his hand on it before he opened, like it burned. Like he had to pull it off open immediately. It like surged out.
Backdraft? The movie?
I guess he was trying to, no, probably not. And he was like, and my buddies, apparently not him, were just standing there like dumbstruck, just staring at it. And he had to like orchestrate it and be like, Alex, bowls, biggest bowl you have, water now. Matt, second biggest bowl you have, water, go. Steve, grab it, go. You hand Alex, you fill it up. You hand it to Matt. Matt, all you do is drive it to me. Like, Steve, you go out there, like, open up this door, like, air it out. Like, and he said it took like a full 20 minutes of firefighting, and the entire, like, apparently they were like very close to just hitting 911 because they were worried it was going to burn the apartment complex down, but they got it under control. And apparently when they moved out, they did not check the status of that outdoor closet, because they got their deposit back despite their entire apartment being shithoused. Like it was collapsing, like borderline collapsing onto the patio. So yours is not looking that bad compared to my retard friends who lit their patio on fire.
My uncle almost set our house on fire.
All my childhood, I was starting fires.
That's not that unusual. Well, we lost Kyle for a second.
Starting child. I started fires too. I love that as a kid.
We got you back, bud. Yeah, everybody started fires as a kid. That's normal, right?
My aunt, like oh my God, Zach. My aunt burned down her house with her grandkids in it. Twice?
Fool me once, shame on me.
I'm starting to think she's not a good babysitter.
No. That's not a try again thing. If you're like aunt or uncle burns down a house with
for insurance money, or it keeps going.
What the hell is going on with your family? Some of the stuff Zach says.
She got charged with arson and fraud.
Yeah, arson and fraud. Damn.
Yeah. So my uncle was handy. Look at Kyle's frozen face. My uncle was handy, and we had some plumbing work to do. So what he did is he was soldering pipes, the brass pipes, you solder them, make them watertight. And he hadn't removed enough of the flammable stuff around it. So the insulation caught and the fire started running up like into the house. And he didn't want to burn our house down. So he just grabbed the burning building material and started pulling it out and throwing it on the ground while like my mom and dad would take the insulation and put it in the kitchen sink and put it out. And that was like the process. He's just grabbing flames from inside the house, throwing it on the floor. My parents put the flames out and he saved the house. Well, he almost burnt it down. Let's not make too big a hero out of him. But,
he
but it
undid
did turn
his
out
error.
okay.
Yeah.
He resolved it. So it turned out all right.
Yeah, I never started fires as a kid in dangerous places. Like it seemed like what Kyle said. Like if I'd do it out in the yard or on concrete, and it'd mostly be like little small scale, like fucking around with matches if I found them, or like taking
small, like waist high.
Oh, not that big at all. Like teeny tiny little fires. Like I was too nervous to start any like itty bitty. The worst I melted a GI Joe or a army man that I was holding in my hand above my other hand, and I got a bunch of molten plastic on it, and that got me to not do that anymore. Because I was like, part of me was like, look at it melt. I was just so infatuated with seeing the dripping of it that I didn't notice.
Dripping fire is a neat thing. Yeah.
It's very cool.
So I was a Boy Scout. I really, really, really like campfires. That's still true. I have campfire flavored candles around the house now. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm like at the soul of an arsonist, but I really like campfires. And I would just so look forward to these weekends. Like once a month, our Boy Scouts would go camping, and it meant the world to me. Like I just loved it. And sometimes they get canceled because of weather and shit. So it wasn't enough. And then I realized, like, you know what? Like I'm really good at starting fires, which is still true. If you're at a campfire, you're
the guy. Yeah.
You want me there. Like there are all these people who think they can start a fire, and I'm looking at them. I am the fucking fire starter that you are crab eater. I'm like,
okay,
fucking
respect.
Imbeciles. Yeah. Like, can't you see all your mistakes? Don't you see that should be a chimney right there? That should be a cabin right there. Like you should get your shit together. And like I'll look at a fire that's not burning well and just easily know like what adjustment to make that fire do what I want it to. And even by the time I was like 12, I was good at this. So after school, I would just be like, starting fires is free. I can just do this. I can do this like as a hobby after school. And Mom, if you're watching, it was by that recycling center in the woods. And I would just go and start fires. Sometimes people would come with me. Sometimes I'd be solo, just out there burning shit, collecting wood, and making campfires. I liked it.
Just creating potential problems. But it seems like you had a good run. No cataclysmic problems you had to pretend you didn't do.
Not that one. I've told the story so many times of the field we burnt down. We were playing war. Someone else started the fire, told me to put it out. My dumb ass is just like, I'm not putting it out. It's warm. And then it got out of control quickly.
It's too warm. It's too warm.
Oh, yeah. And dude, that fire, it was like 5 acres and like 150 feet tall, and like houses were in danger.
150 feet tall?
Oh, yeah. It was like twice the height of the trees nearby and shit. It wasn't just that like our town's fire department came, then like the adjacent towns and the adjacent towns to that. It was like a 4 or 5 alarm fire. It was a really big deal.
Did you get in trouble for it?
No, the guy who started the fire took all the blame. And it wasn't just the police. It was the FBI came and investigated it. And he was like, well, the smoke bomb wouldn't start with the match. So I lit the 4-foot tall dry grass on a windy day and then held the smoke bomb up to it. And then I threw it, and I told my friend to put it out, or maybe he didn't even rat me out. He said he wouldn't. And, and then it got out of control. So they just put him on David DeVorn. I'll never forget that guy. But yeah, he fell on the sword, took all the blame. He did start the fire.
What a hero.
Yeah.
It's cool of him to take the rap.
It was. Yeah. He didn't try to pass off responsibility or anything. But it was funny how like every idea I had to put out the fire was just a few seconds late. Like at first I pat it with my hands, but if I had stomped on it, it might have been controllable at that size. Mm-hmm. Then I stomped on it, but it was too big to put out with your feet. So I took my coat off and hit it. If I had done that a step earlier, that might have worked. And then like multiple people started beating it with their coats. And if we had been doing that 20 seconds ago, that might have worked. But every idea we came up with was just a step too late. And eventually it was like, we need grown-ups here. Someone get grown-ups. Someone get grown-ups.
Get an adult. Like
that's still my go-to move.
when you saw the fire totally getting out of control, were you nervous? Like
I
about
was
your
nervous.
parents?
It was blowing toward. So mostly like there was woods between the houses and the field. And I felt like that was going to be a buffer layer, at least a slower burning fire that they'd be able to deal with. But at the end of the fields where the fire was blowing to was where my friend lived. And I was like, fucking, we burnt down Jason's house. Like I was just, I'm like, it's going to Jason. And Jason's like, yo, that's my house. It's going to my house. And I'm like, yeah, it totally is. You're right. It's going to your house. And like,
sorry,
one of the
Jason.
fire departments was just putting water on Jason's house so that it was a little more fire resistant when it got there. And as far as I know, his house was fine. I don't, maybe like a heat damage or something, but it, it certainly didn't burn it down or anything like that. So.
Have you seen those clips where like there's a big field fire and like the farmer gets out like in front of the flames with his like combine and he just like cuts all the grass out in a stripe? I think that's so cool. And sometimes they're like, I'm like, man, that guy's doing a good job really like threading that needle. And other times they're like 20 feet from the flames. And like what I do is I watch like where he is or like where he was and like where the flames are. And it's like, oh, like I'm like, as a kid, I was like, oh, like that's how fire works. If it's not on you, you're fine. But like you realize like, no, like a big fire will like cook you like a grill from yard, like 100 yards away. So it's huge. So that's shit is very scary. Hey, Kyle, how are you?